All right, let's go to Africa. So we were in the Amazon. Now let's go to Africa. And in Africa, there's some people called the forest people, okay? There's a book by Colin Turnbull who spent a few years with them. And these are the pygmies. They live in the forest. And guess what? Even though the mythology is a bit different, they have different names, they have different structures, it's still the same essence, okay? So let's go over. This is called a molomol, which is a musical instrument that they use to communicate with the spirits of the forest, okay? All right, so one thing that's really important for these peoples is the idea of ritual. You are a member of the community if you participate in all their rituals, if you believe in the mythologies, if you honor their ancestors and their traditions, okay? If you're not, if you refuse to honor their traditions, then they will ostracize you, or they might even kill you, okay? So, the Pygmies are having a religious festival, and Colin Turnbull says this: I was told, however, that everyone had to eat just as no adult male was allowed to sleep but had to sing while Malomo singing was in progress. Apparently, one of the greatest crimes that a Pygmy can commit, if not the greatest, is to be found asleep when the Malomo is singing. Okay? If you refuse to participate in the ritual, or if you break the seriousness of the ritual, then you are a threat to community, and they will kill you. And they will forget about you, okay? So once they kill you, the woman would be told that the Malomo itself, the great animal of the forest, had carried off one of their number, but like the man, they would ask no questions and would never again mention the missing man. So if you disrespect them, they would not only kill you, but they would forget about you forever. So this is how they explain why they do what they do. Why do they practice these rituals? Why are these rituals such an important part of their lives? Normally everything goes well in our world, but at night when we are sleeping, sometimes things go wrong because we are not awake to stop them from going wrong. Army ants invade the camp. Leopards may come in and steal a hunting dog or even a child. If we were awake, these things would not happen. So when something big goes wrong, like illness or bad hunting or death, it must be because the forest is sleeping and not looking after its children. So what do? We wake it up. We wake it up by singing to it, and we do this because we want it to awaken happy. And everything will be well and good again. So when our world is going well, then also we sing to the forest because we want it to share our happiness, okay? So their idea of God is heaven on earth, where you're connected to the environment around you. Everything that you do impacts the environment. The environment also impacts you as well. So you practice these rituals in order to maintain balance and harmony in the world. Okay? The world is a script. In living, you must follow certain practices in order to respect the traditions of the world. And that's what brings harmony and heaven to the world. And it's something that for most of our history, something that we've understood and we've appreciated. Then the question then is, what do we change? Okay, and we'll be discussing this as the semester progresses. Okay, so that's it. Are there any questions before we end? Yeah.
So before you said that people nowadays, okay, so first of all, I totally agree that people nowadays are lack of vision and imaginations, contrast to people back in the days, because of multiple reasons. And so my question is that I agree that people nowadays are lack of vision, but I kind of are a little bit confused about what your argument that we cannot rebuild the pyramid. Because, well, from my point of view, nowadays we have the ability to, build skyscrapers or metropolitans, and so what is the factor that kind of stops us to build, structures like pyramid?
Okay, so the question is, why can't we build the pyramids? Okay, all right. So there are different factors in place. The first is the resources that are required to build the pyramids, it is tremendous, okay? Okay, so to give an example, the stone that, sorry, let me just bring this up, okay? The stone that they used to build the pyramids is enough to build a wall around France. Okay, so the size, okay, is beyond our imagination. Okay, that's number one. Okay, where we find the resource to do this. Second is the question of will. Why would we want to do this? Like, do you want to rebuild the pyramids? Like, okay, well, yeah, that's another problem. Okay, and the third problem is this organization, which is how would we organize the people in a way as to build the pyramids? Because back then, it was a massive undertaking. But again, people were united by a similar vision, which is like, we're bringing heaven to earth. Once we build the pyramids, the gods can rest in peace. The gods can come down and shine a divine light all over us. So that's the end of history. We're done, okay? Just work hard for 20 years, and then there'll be heaven on earth, okay? That's what drove them. What inspires people today? There's nothing that inspires people today. Okay, like, oh, make $1 billion, make $1 trillion, okay? That's what inspires people. But you know what? To make $1 billion, it doesn't mean you have to work hard. It just means you have to cheat and lie and steal, okay? So does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But well, nowadays people still have religions, right? Let's say Christian is still one of the most powerful religions, and people share. And so, are they capable to build another very tremendous or imaginary structure or buildings?
Okay, okay. So this is hard, okay, for you to understand. It's because it's a different world, and the brains work differently. Back in this age, religion was the end on be all. Okay, you live for your religion. Okay, does that make sense? Today, our religion is capitalism. Okay? So, and capitalism is just make as much money as you possibly can. And the difference is, back during the time of the Egyptians, it was a spiritual age. Okay, so you sought inspiration from the heavens. And people's imaginations could expand because they would wake up with ideas. Okay? Today, we live in a materialistic age, which is say, we don't believe in God. We don't believe in divinity. We just believe in numbers, in computers, in process. Okay? Does that make sense to you? Okay? It's hard to understand because you live in a time of complete materialism, so you don't understand what it means to live a life of spirituality, of divinity, of trying to bring heaven to earth, okay? But if you did do that, then you'd be a very different person. There were things that you could do that would be unimaginable to you, okay? For example, if you go visit a temple or a monk, they could meditate for months and months and months. They could walk bare feet in the cold for years and years and years. We can't do that, okay? Because the moment I say, hey, meditate for a whole month, just don't eat, you can't do that. And you're like, what's the point? And then their answer is, because I want to be with God, okay? Because I want to feel as though it's heaven on earth. So it's not just a question of how smart you are, it's a question of faith and purpose and meaning as well. The reality is that not only do we live a life of purpose and meaning and spirit, we also think these things don't matter. Okay, does that make sense? All right, any more questions? Yep.
So I do agree that we cannot build pyramids nowadays, and I'll definitely die if you just put me on a pathetic. But like for more modern people, we also can do like a lot of things that previous people cannot. So how does the building of a pyramid, these things demonstrate that the previous people are smart?
Can you tell me what we do today that is so wonderful and spectacular?
What?
Yeah, what do we do today that's so wonderful and spectacular, and you think it's amazing?
What?
Give an example of something that we do today that is spectacular and wonderful. Okay, yeah. I mean, do you have an example?
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you, okay? Yeah. So give me an example. Any more questions?
Does it matter for the first person who have the vision to build it and the second person have the same vision, or it doesn't really matter? They just want to bring heaven to earth.
Look, that's a great question, okay? And this is hard for us to understand, but there's no sense of individual propriety, okay? It's like, this is my idea, you can't have it, okay? It's always like, we're in this together, okay? We don't know who built the pyramids. Why? Because it doesn't matter who built the pyramids. All that matters is it was built. That's the spirit that they had. Nowadays, like, if I have this idea, how do I patent it? How do I get credit for it? How do I make money out of it, okay? And that's why our ideas suck. Back then, it was just like, it doesn't matter what my idea is. What matters is this idea is expressed to other people, okay? When you have that spirit, when you have that heart, when you share who you are, then God comes into you and gives you ideas, you understand? But if you're like, nope, all I want to do is make money, God leaves you. Okay? And that's hard for us to understand. So back then, there must have been a genius, a charismatic leader, and God gave him this, not God, but like the spirit world, okay, the universe, gave him this vision for the pyramids. And he knew exactly how to do it. And then he goes to the Pharaoh and says, listen, I have this vision. The Pharaoh says, let's just do it, okay? So the Pharaoh got credit, but it didn't matter who got credit. It just doesn't matter. What mattered is it was built. Do you understand? There's no sense of individualism. There's no sense of capitalism. There's no sense of like private property. It's all like, let's just work together to build a better world. Okay? And yes, the people who worked on it were getting paid, but that's not what mattered to them. What mattered was achieving this vision together. Okay? So it's hard for us to understand. But once you have this mentality of common sacrifice, you are able to do tremendous things together. Okay? And I'm sorry, but I can't think of an example of things that we do wonderful today, like ChatGPT. Give me a break, okay? All right? Any more questions? All right, great. So I'll see you guys next week, okay?